Today we are going to be talking about the brutal murder of Alisha Bromfield and her unborn child. How did the murder happen? Who did it? And what about the case made a change in the law occur in 32 states? Watch along to find out more. Call to action. In August 2012, Alisha Bromfield was a 21-year-old, 6.5 months pregnant, kind and loving daughter, friend, and soon-to-be single mother of a daughter. The father of her daughter, who she was going to name Ava Lucille, was not going to be in the picture when Ava would be born. She had met the father in college, and after she told him that she was pregnant, he walked away and said that he did not wish to be involved and become a father. But this didn't bother Alisha. Alisha was an independent young woman who had been working since the age of 16 at a major national retail store and would be a graduate in forensic psychology and criminal justice in just a couple of months. She had told her parents that she was expecting a baby, and her parents agreed to help support her through the entire pregnancy and help support the baby after. All was going well until Alisha's boss stirred up some issues in her life. 36-year-old Brian Cooper was Alisha's supervisor, who had been known to have been friends with Alisha, the girl who was hardworking and extremely good at her job in the garden department. Even though Brian allegedly went around telling everyone that Alisha was his girlfriend, Alisha had made it clear to him and her friends and family that it was nothing more than a casual friendship. She had told her mother in the past that the only reason she kept him around was that she did not want to lose her job, especially when she had a baby to support. Cooper asked Alisha in August to accompany him to his younger sister's wedding as his date. The wedding was going to be out of town, and although her family was reluctant at first, she assured them that it would be okay since they were only going as friends and they were going to stay at a hotel with the rest of the people attending the wedding, and it was for only a matter of one night. The duo went to the wedding, which was 4 hours away near Lake Michigan in Door County, Wisconsin. On the day of the wedding, Sherry, Alisha's mother, got a call from Alisha saying that they were packing up and leaving. She told her they weren't attending the wedding because she and Brian had gotten into a fight. Alisha's mother told her to inform Brian's sister about what had happened and that they weren't going to be attending the wedding. However, to her surprise, Alisha said that she didn't even know how to reach his sister because they weren't staying at the same place as the wedding party. A few hours later, Sherry texted Alisha asking her if everything was okay, and she said that it was all good and that they were staying. All was well at the wedding. Brian walked his little sister down the aisle, partied with everyone at the outdoor ceremony, and celebrated the wedding of his sister. According to his family, Brian and Alisha left soon after the champagne toast and went back to the resort they were staying at. So what could have gone wrong after they left? How did Alisha end up dead just a few hours after leaving the wedding? A man in soaking wet clothes at a gas station making a call to 911 would answer just that. The morning after Brian Cooper's wedding, the police received a call from a man at a gas station reporting a murder. The call was something you don't see or hear every day. The 911 call, which was recorded by the surveillance camera of the gas station, started with a man reporting a murder, giving the police the location of where it took place to confessing the crime. Within minutes, the police arrived at the gas station along with the Door County Sheriff's investigator, Mark Winkle, and the man revealed that the person he had murdered was none other than Alisha Bromfield. After taking the man to the police station, Mark Winkle headed down to the crime scene. When he arrived at the resort, he opened the door and the first thing he saw was a woman, naked, covered in a blanket, a pillow under her head, with scratch marks, bruises, and injuries all over her dead body lying on the floor. After this, Winkle went back to the station to interview the man who confessed to the murder of Alisha Bromfield. The first question was, "What is your name?" The answer, Brian Cooper. Now the interview began when the investigator tried to see if Cooper would continue to talk or chicken out. He went on to tell him about why they had come to Door County and about the argument that had taken place between him and Alisha the day before. He told the investigator that he knew after the fight Alisha was done being friends with him. However, according to Alicia's friend Olivia Hogan, Alisha and Brian weren't even friends before the incident. Alisha had told her that she was only going with him to the wedding because he had threatened to fire her if she disagreed. She even said that this wasn't the first time that Cooper had jokingly threatened to fire her. She had been forced to come to work even on days that she had a doctor's appointment and was expected to make her work top priority, and if she did otherwise he would insult her by calling her names like slut and whore. After this, Brian went on to tell the investigator how the murder took place. He told them that everything went downhill after they went back to the hotel room after the wedding reception. He said that he was drinking while she was asleep on the bed and talked about how he had thoughts about harming her because she made it so clear to him that there would be no friendship after they returned. He was drunk and angry and was preparing to harm her. He had thoughts about tying her up with cords from a cell phone or computer but couldn't because she was moving her legs constantly in her sleep. He kept pacing about the room, smoked a cigarette, leaving and entering the room multiple times. After a while, he calmed down and laid down on the bed beside her. When she woke up, he talked to her about a TV show that they were going to watch the Sunday that was coming up. Her denial to this, saying that there would be no Sunday coming up, triggered Brian. He got really angry and jumped on her bed and straddled her while strangling her with his bare hands. There was a brief struggle from Alisha as she cried and yelled about her baby, and she bit his finger and continued to fight back until she couldn't anymore. The entire incident ended with Alisha choked to death on the floor. At this point, investigator Mark Winkle thought that it was over and the investigation would end here with Brian Cooper having confessed to the murder of Alisha Bromfield. But he was wrong. The monstrosity of Brian Cooper wasn't over. After killing Alisha and her unborn daughter, Cooper committed another evil crime. He told Winkle that after he had strangled Alisha, he took off her clothes and raped her post-mortem. After committing these two heinous crimes, Brian tried to take his own life 3 times, once with a dull butter knife, then with a corkscrew, and when neither worked, he went to the bay and tried to drown himself. When he panicked and couldn't do it, he drove to the gas station and called 911. What was the reason for Brian Cooper to take the life of a loving woman like Alisha Bromfield and her unborn baby? Loneliness. The mere thought of coming back home to nothing and losing Alisha was too much for Brian. After this, Brian Cooper was arrested with charges against him of 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and a third-degree allegation of sexual assault on a dead woman. Unexpectedly, Brian Cooper entered a plea of not guilty despite his full confession to the police. To get justice for their loved one, Alisha Bromfield's family was obligated to go to court. Brian gave the defense of voluntary intoxication, which meant that he did not plead guilty because he was not sober enough to form intent. One would think that the verdict of the murder trial would be easily in favor of the prosecution, but after 5 days of testimony, the verdict came in as a hung jury, 10 saying guilty and 2 women jurists saying not guilty even after hearing the overwhelming evidence against him. This left everyone, including the investigators, shocked to the core. They could not believe that even after Cooper described the entire incident step by step, they would believe his intoxication excuse. After this, Alisha's friends and family took matters into their own hands and set out on a mission to change the absurd law so that no one would ever be able to use drunkenness as an excuse for heinous crimes again. And they came out as champions as they managed to banish the voluntary intoxication law in 32 states. A year after the murder of Alisha Bromfield, the second trial began. This time, the trial included testimonies from people at the wedding party who described the state of Brian Cooper and his inebriation. A week later, justice was served. Brian Cooper was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide for the murders of Alisha Bromfield and her unborn daughter. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms in prison. The Bromfield family triumphed, and to honor their daughter, they started a foundation called the Purple Project to provide financial and emotional support to first-time young single mothers. Alisha Bromfield's story will go down in history to touch the lives of many, especially those who have lost their children to tragedies like Alisha's. So what do you guys think of this story? Let us know down in the comments below, and like and share the video if you enjoyed it. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.